for joining us this morning. We're excited to hear from Eric Gorder from the YMCA. Little bit about the Better Together Brain Health series. We have put together a series to talk more about our brain health and what we can all be doing every day to impact our cognition, keep sharp, and just what, those little things we can be doing throughout life. Really, the Brain Center, we're a nonprofit organization, high impact, looking to serve the community and be a resource under the model of care. We're collaborating like with wonderful mission-rich organizations like the YMCA. We advocate for individuals that have or are inflicted with brain disease and conditions. We are supporting research and the advancement of science and really a search for a better and finding another way. And then really the education, which is what today is all about. What can we all be doing throughout our lives to proactively stimulate our brains, benefit our brains, and have a regimen program in place? And we know physical exercise is such a big impact on our overall brain health. So we do have some sponsors today. I want to give a shout out to the Green Bay Packers Give Back program and Ballin Health. Thanks so much for that support. And with that, I want to turn it over to Eric. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Chris. That was a very nice introduction. I'm super excited to be here. You mentioned something in your introduction, and it is about the little things. It's about the little things that we do every day that add up to big things, and you'll see some of that in this presentation. And it's even about the little things in these smaller collaborations with many organizations in our community that'll have the biggest impact overall. We can't do this alone. We all have different connections and different avenue, different interests and different beliefs. And I think these type of programs and events are paramount in the success of our community and the health of everybody that's watching out there today and any individual that you come in contact with. So as I kick things off, we're going to focus on physical exercise and fitness today. There's a lot of different avenues and a lot of different topics that can fall into this category. I've kind of harnessed it down into some of the more mainstream items and talking a little bit about statistics and try to relate that to things you can do on a manageable level every day, make it fun, make it consistent, and make it long-term for yourself. A little bit about me. I do have a degree in human biology, and I have over 30 years of experience in health and fitness. I've been a personal trainer and owned a fitness facility. I've worked in leading teams in the healthcare industry as far as fitness, exercise, nutrition. And I think not the point of that isn't to impress you with my accolades, but it's really to let you know that I've come across a lot of different people with a lot of different goals and a lot of different barriers. And I think the accumulation of that knowledge and those obstacles and helping them succeed is what kind of culminates into this webinar today. And hopefully at the end, I can answer some questions that you might have, but more importantly, give you a little bit of light on what you can do every day that isn't overwhelming to succeed. So what we're going to start with, and I do have a few breaks in here. I know it's hard to sit at a computer all day or even an hour for that matter, and you get a little bit bored, but let's do a little bit of warm up here. I got a couple of brain warm ups and even a full body warm up just to get you energized for this webinar. The first thing is that I want you to think of 5 nuts. Just come up with 5 nuts. You can write them down or mentally remember them. Again, I picked a couple of things that are real important for our overall health, nuts being one of those as far as protecting the brain, but also fueling the body, phasing off injuries, and also, fighting disease. So I'm going to click here. I know this is a little bit fast, but I'm sure that was an easy one for you. I did give you 10 options here. There's more than 10, but it's more than 5 just to cover everything that everyone was kind of thinking out there. Of course, all of these have different nutrients and different things that are good for you, but in general, these are all great for your health, both physically and mentally. So let's move into another one. Hopefully you got 5 of those. The next one, name 5 green vegetables. Again, probably pretty easy. We'll have an extensive list here in 30 seconds or so, but if you can kind of think of 5 green ones, a couple will pop to mind pretty quick, but there might be a few odd ones out there. Maybe a little tougher than the initial question. I'll give you just a few more seconds here. Again, if you're jotting them down, great. Otherwise, it's a nice exercise here to try to remember the 5 you're thinking of. All right, here we go. So again, another 10 options here that would fall into the 5 green vegetables. Definitely a few of those are a little more common than the other ones, but everyone has their own tastes. We were just talking about the farmer's market before we went live, and all of these are at the farmer's market. They're all fresh, and it makes a huge difference if you do get those fresh from when you buy them in the store. So make sure you get out there and do that. All right, so now we kind of warmed up the brain a little bit. We got thinking about some fun stuff. Let's get into a little total body warm up. Nothing too strenuous, nothing real hard, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip the screen, and we have 3 exercises. It's actually 2. We will repeat one for the first and third, but I want you to do 7 repetitions of each of these, just to kind of get your heart rate pumping, get your mind flowing. If you're sitting down, I'd like you to stand up and sit down 7 times. So if you're in your chair and I'm sitting in a chair, you're just going to stand up. And then I want you to sit all the way back down, nice and controlled. If you're standing up, just do 7 squats. If you don't have a chair behind you, give you a few more seconds here to knock out 7 of those reps. Again, you're going to energize the brain. You're going to get the body flowing. And maybe some of you even ran to this webinar because you were so excited. So you're already warmed up, but this will just be an extension of that. So now I call this next one an open and close. There's a lot of different names for it, but what I want you to do is I want you to sit really tall or stand really tall. And I want you to bring your shoulders, like you're trying to touch the fronts of your shoulders to each of them. And then I want you to open up your chest and bring your palms facing forward. Okay, so you're really opening up your chest. And then you're going to stretch out your back again. So you'll close and then you'll open up. Now, this isn't meant to be done really fast, but I don't want you to hold the stretch. I just want you to kind of press into the stretch and then open the stretch. Again, real important on that opening to open up the palms, bring open those biceps, bring open those forearms, open up that chest. And then when you close down, kind of pull those shoulder blades apart in the back too, just to free up some space in your chest, your back, your shoulders, and your neck, of course, because we're going to be sitting here and staring at a laptop for 45 minutes to an hour. Again, we'll do 7 of those, and as soon as you finish up 7 of those, let's just do one more rep, one more round of the stand-ups and sit-downs. Again, just to get that heart rate going, get that blood flowing, increase your circulation. All of that will impact your mind as well, so you'll be a little bit more in tune with this video. And we will take a couple of breaks throughout the presentation where we'll do a little brain body exercise in the middle just to kind of turn off our minds and get moving a little bit. So I'm going to kick this off with a great question that's really going to set the precedent for the presentation today. And I love the way this lays out because it'll set up our discussion for the day. But how much would you pay for a medicine? Something that you could go out and go up to a counter and you could pay for something. How much would you pay that would slow the aging of your brain and your body? You would look younger forever. Your mind would be sharper. Decreases osteoporosis, cardiovascular disease, and blood pressure. Decrease depression, anxiety, stress. Big topics now, a lot of mental health issues going on, but it would decrease all 3 of those. Regulate your metabolism, control your weight, reduce obesity. Again, big studies are being tied to the obesity and the amount of prescription drugs we take and how we feel and the long-term effects of those. Increase energy, boost motivation. Who wouldn't want more energy, especially at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? Promote neuroplasticity. We'll talk a little bit about that, but I will leave that as a bigger topic for the brain center. That's their specialty. But the mind's ability to change. You can change just by changing what you do every day, and you can grow and you can heal based on that. Boost your immune system. We're coming out of a pandemic here, a major virus that affected the world, but notice some of the different things that have resulted from wearing a mask all the time and not being active, and some of the things that happen as soon as you remove those masks. And then, of course, decrease the incidence of cancer. Many studies are showing the effects of continuous movement, consistent movement. Obviously, a lot of this is going to be compounded with nutrition, but we're going to focus on the exercise component today. But all of the movement and the strength of the body to strengthen your immune system and really protect your body, are over 50% of cancers can be reduced or staved off because of exercise alone. So it's really amazing. I'm sure you all have a figure in your head, and it's probably very high because these are all great things, but guess what? It's free. You can do this every day. You can go out and you can go for a walk. You can stand up and sit down in your chair. You can do chores around the yard. And we'll talk about a lot of that today, but exercise is free. You can do it anywhere. It's fun, and it's really limitless as far as the activities that you can do. Again, you'll find out in some of the conclusions and some of the stuff we cover today to give you different ideas, but you need to enjoy what you're doing every day, and you need to look forward to it. And then you won't think of it as work. That exercise and that fitness level will become something you look forward to do because of the activity, because of the social connection, because of the engagement. So try to think of that theme as we go through the different topics. What I want to focus on today, again, as I mentioned earlier, exercise and fitness is a huge field. There's a lot of different areas of study. There's a lot of different interests, but I broke this down into our physical health, our brain or mental health. I'm going to talk about a few different demographics, because I'm sure we have a lot of different demographics on this live stream today, and everyone has a lot of different questions, and hopefully we can address some of them, give each of them a couple different ideas and some things to do, and maybe even answer a few questions. And then at the end, we'll talk about some different exercise recommendations, and probably not all of the ones you're thinking of that you've read before, but hopefully a couple of different new ideas, and maybe even a fresh approach to how you might think of exercise and fitness. So I skipped over the next one. It just is physical health. So this is where I liked at the beginning that Chris had mentioned the little things, because it really is about the little things. Sometimes our impatience and our willingness to get to the next level so fast that we lose sight of the little things, and we end up never achieving what that end result is. So I'm focusing on a 30 minutes of cardiovascular exercise here. You'll find out there's different recommendations for different populations that we talk about later. But again, a 30-minute session of exercise is very reasonable to do. Most everyone can fit it in their day. So I think that's a great, as a starting point for many of you who may not be exercising regularly, that it's a good starting point. But we talked about it earlier: boosting your circulation, increasing muscle strength, lowering blood pressure, reducing fatigue and increasing focus, regulating metabolism, and again, combating that weight gain, but boosting mood and energy and mental health too. But it really is only about 30 minutes a day. Again, not jumping too far ahead here, but as far as the intensity of that can vary. But as we build on this webinar today, I would encourage you, if you're not doing much right now, to just get moving for 30 minutes a day, and don't worry about the intensity and what it is. Try to pick something you enjoy. But all of these items here that are listed on this screen is what's going to happen the minute you start moving. And it happens day one. It doesn't take a week. It doesn't take 2 weeks. It happens right away. Unfortunately, and again, I'm not going to stand on a pedestal here and preach to you, but we kind of have things backwards a little bit. We've taken the approach where, like I said, we always want to get to the end result right away, and we lose focus on where we're going and how we got there. So it doesn't necessarily mean as much to us, but we're looking for a medication, something we can swallow, or something that that's going to take us to the end game without having to take along the journey. The majority of our money that is spent, and you hear about it in the healthcare and stuff, and I won't get into too much detail on that, but we're looking for that quick fix. A great example is we spend over $200 billion, and this is just the American economy. We spend over $200 billion on type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes is preventable if we would move. Again, it involves other items of nutrition and exercise, but if we started out just by moving 30 minutes a day and lowering our BMI, lowering our body weight, increasing our metabolism, we could prevent this, and we could save that money. And again, that money that's being outlaid might come in the form of insurance, but insurance premiums go down. And then overall, we are just a healthier community, and we're there for our families, we're there for our community, and we're helping reduce those costs in different avenues. I found this interesting as I was doing a little bit of research for this, but most of the direction we take for medical reasons are from our physicians. And this is nothing bad against physicians, but the majority of physicians, in fact, more than 50% of them, don't have any formal education on physical activity. They're experts with the body. They're experts with how to fix things with medications. They're driven for different reasons, but I think I find it interesting when they don't have that exercise component on top of mind. They're not going to offer that as a treatment for you. They're not going to say, hey, go for a walk for a couple of weeks, come back and see me. Let's see what you're doing. It's flipped. It's that wrong approach. Like, here, go take this and you should be fine. But yet you're missing out on so many different things along the way by just skipping all of those steps to the end, which you're hoping is less pain, maybe feeling better, able to move a little bit more freely. But you'll find as we go through this webinar, there's a lot of quick things you can do that will replace all of that and actually help you feel better and appreciate it a lot more. And that'll help you mentally as well as physically. I find this saying, this is what goes on in my head when I think about it. When you hear the saying, it's about the journey, not the destination. Most of the time, you know, this culminates with an event, and everybody will mention, hey, it was great getting there and all the sacrifices you made, all the people you may have met, anything along the way. But in the context of exercise, I think it is about the journey and not the destination, in what you miss by not exercising. And I'll use that same example I just got done talking about. If somebody prescribed you a medication and you took it, and let's just say you had a lot of pain and the pain went away. That's great. The pain went away, but you missed the journey of strengthening your body. Your immune system is healthier. The endorphins and all of the natural releases by exercising and moving and communicating and engaging have not been released. So then mentally, you might find that you're struggling with stress and anxiety. All of those things that took you to the end result of relieving pain, in this example, the natural way, you're missing out on all of those by taking the medication. And what happens is now you're compounding other issues along the way. And while we can preach about exercising, you may not look at it that way. That's the truth. You've missed out on all of the different things that are strengthening you as a person, both mind and body, to get to an end result of no pain, where had you done the necessary steps, taken the responsibility and actually the initiative to get better on your own and figure out what was causing the pain, you'd be 10 times more successful, because you would be correcting the brain and the body issues along the way and feeling better. And you'll also have a long-term solution versus a short-term solution that fixes one issue, but then something else will come along and you're like, hey, that worked last time, I'll just take a different medication or something else. And you miss all of the steps along the way to make you a whole body healthier, more holistic, and missing out on those steps. So I find this little saying very powerful in many ways, but this is what I think of when I think of medication, that you skip all of those healthy steps along the way. So maybe put that in your back pocket and think about that the next time, and hopefully it can help you out along the way. So again, I'm talking a lot and I know that's hard. So we're just going to do it. And these are quick 1-minute little body brain breaks here where we don't listen to me talk about stuff. But what I want you to do is I want you to widen your arms out really wide like this. So again, we'll get a little stretch in here. Notice you're going to be sitting up taller when you do this. We're all starting to sit like this, even myself. But as soon as you do this, you sit up tall. And I just want you to give yourself a big hug. Okay, so we're stretching out the back. But again, pay attention to what just happened. You just sat up straight because you went like this. The minute you brought those shoulder blades down, put them in the right position and opened up, you sat really tall. So for those of you that sit a lot during the day, you should do this a couple times an hour. All you have to do is even just do this, but give that body a big hug. All right, moving on. Mental health. So again, we've talked a little bit about physical health. These two go hand in hand. You cannot talk about one without the other. For many different scopes of practice, many different situations, many different scenarios, but I want to focus a little bit on the mental health, and we'll kind of run through the same paradigm here that we did with the physical exercise. It's a little things, okay? So most of the time someone gives you a medication, it's just a replacement for something the body can naturally produce without all the side effects. We talked about at the beginning. This is free. Exercise is free. It's great for the mind. It's great for the body. It's free. No side effects. Unless you hurt yourself. If you're out running and you hurt yourself, I guess that would be a side effect, but you don't have any long-term side effects. But anyways, let's focus on that 30 minutes. Many studies, in fact, quite a few studies are showing that just limited low intensity exercise can treat mild forms of depression. Again, you're replacing an antidepressant medication by releasing some serotonin. And again, by exercising, you're gaining all of those other steps we talked about. You're increasing your muscle strength. You're keeping your joints healthy. You're releasing these natural endorphins in your body to keep your mind sharp. And again, when you get to this end result, now you're going to be like, wow, I accomplished something. I feel great. Those are things you can't get by taking a medication. And that is a big impact for doing something very little by going for, say, a walk every day. It could be as simple as a 30-minute walk every day. a lot of these natural remedies, I guess, if you want to call exercise that, are anti-anxiety treatment. Anxiety, high levels of depression and stress right now are extremely high priority. They're studied quite a bit. Lots of studies are going on now. And again, there are obviously situations where exercise can't compete with that or complete that or remedy that. However, a lot of them, the low mild ones, the introductory ones, some of the stuff that might just be creeping in can be done with that. So relieving tension, stress, boosting physical and mental energy. And really, like I mentioned before, it really enhances your well-being, the holistic approach to exercise, both mentally and physically. Those endorphins in the brain by physical activity reduce stress, reduce anxiety, and again, overall make you a more strong person and can fight off disease, sicknesses, and really protect your body because you're also building that structure, the physical structure, the joints, the muscles, that sort of thing. And again, exercise can have effects of that neuroplasticity. Like I said, I'm not going to get into a lot of science on this, but the brain can learn, it can create new pathways, and it can even heal previous injuries. The point is the human body in general, but especially the brain, is a very complex, amazing organ, and it can change, and that can change if you have an injury, or it can change how you think, but it can definitely change how you feel as we talk about the different levels of stress and anxiety. Again, we're taking a little bit of the wrong approach. The first thing is always medications. I put therapy on here. You know, again, that can be a topic of debate here. But the point is maybe that's step 2 versus what about, like I said earlier, going out for a walk, removing technology from the equation, getting outside, moving, fresh air, sunlight, a lot of things that we're depriving ourselves. We'll talk a little bit later, but I mentioned in here the social time, the social connectedness and the engagement piece that we are missing also has a big, profound impact on our mental health. So by doing things together, activities together, not only are we more prone to stick to exercise, but we're also going to affect our mind on that anxiety and stress level, because now we're interacting. The human being is meant to interact. And think about it, sometimes if you ever just are feeling a little down and all of a sudden you strike up a conversation with someone, you kind of perk up a little bit. Just that conversation makes a huge difference. And I think those are little things that go unnoticed, but we've all been in a situation like that. Or even if you're in a situation where maybe you're a little more shy, and the minute someone starts talking to you, you're like, hey, all right, I got this. I can get through that. And that is the same on every level. It doesn't just have to be if you're shy. It just has to, it affects that mind. Those neurons and those synapses start to happen in the brain, and things start to move, and there you go. And now you're moving forward. So we'll pull this all together later and show you how these can work together to give you some good confidence as you move forward with exercise and how you're going to approach it. But that daily exercise, that consistent everyday moving, will create a sound mind and a strong body. Now let's talk a little bit, exercise in general, we know is good. Moving is good. Eating is good. All of those things are great for us, but let's focus on a couple of different things. And my hope here is just to show you some different demographics. So maybe we can pop up a barrier that can give you an opportunity to look at a little differently and maybe overcome that barrier and become successful in something, and maybe not look at it so much as a barrier, but an opportunity. So the first one we'll look at is just exercise in youth. Now, given the time of day and the topic and that, there may not be a lot of youth on here, but we all are, most of us have kids, we have grandkids, we have family members. I think the key with the youth is that's the beginning. That's where some things are starting to see that patterns are being derived, things are being eliminated, and these are things that compound over time. And now these become the learned behaviors of our younger generation, and it's what we're teaching them that go forward. So a couple, again, I don't have a ton of statistics here, but some that really stuck out to me about the CDC, 19.3% of children ages 2 to 19 are obese. Now, we're coming off, again, what they're calling the pandemic with the coronavirus, but obesity is a pandemic. It affects many different chronic illnesses as we age. And what's happening now is those chronic diseases and illnesses aren't happening at 70, 75, 80. They're happening at 40. 45 and 50, when people are still working, they're still earning. It's starting to, drain the healthcare system, but it's more importantly, it's giving people more pain. They're relying more on medication. Life in general, yes, is stressful. We have a lot of responsibilities as human beings and with our families and everything else, but that stress is starting to build. But the toxins of eating and the toxins in the environment and the lack of activity just compounds that more and more. So while yes, we might look at a youth and think, oh, the youth are a little bit heavier. Well, it has different effects along the way, and it compounds to where it's becoming a lot younger adults that are getting these chronic diseases and diabetes and heart disease and all of that sort of stuff. But an interesting study in both California and Texas, and they started looking at students that the kids that were exercising had better attendance, better test scores. And while I think, yes, everyone's like, yep, that makes sense. They're active, they're alert, they're kind of coherent. But as these kids aged, the fitness scores decline. And what's happening there again is technology starting to weave its way into it. The parental unit or the family unit has different behaviors. It's not the same as going out and doing activities during the day. It's kind of like this is the new normal where we sit around. And as they go, they're entering into their adulthood with these bad behaviors that are compounding, like we talked about earlier. So keeping those younger kids active into their teenage years, into the early adults, now they're going to take those tools with them, and they're going to be more likely to be more active. They're going to be more likely to seek out different things to do. We're not going to replace technology. That's not going to happen. But if we know consciously how important a simple thing like exercise is in the form of movement, maybe we'll be more inclined to do that, to fight off some of the different things that we're experiencing at much younger ages. And if we're experiencing that now at age 40 or 50, fast forward 20 years and it's going to be in our 30s. So very important. But again, exercise declining due to technology, kids in recess. I mean, you're even seeing recess eliminated. These attentions, this activity, I think I go back to the approach of what's being learned at some of the higher education, that exercise is a very important tool. So it cannot be discounted, and that becomes at the education level. So again, just a couple more stats as we talked about the 19.3% of the youth being obese. Now, as we look to the different age groups, as we get older, and you can see this escalating quite a bit to 35, 42, and anyone over, almost half the population over 60. And this is actually a 2016 study. So this number is probably well over 50% in just the last 5 years. And it's just increasing very fast. And it's kind of that culmination of the lack of activity, lack of movement, and cheaper, quicker, more nutritionally undense foods that are available to us. It's just how it's the pattern we're getting into. This pattern is going to get broken from doing live streams like this, educating from different areas, and really upbringing our kids so that when they go into school, they learn different things. And then the education system helping really enforce these things and how this can combat some of the chronic issues that we're dealing with as a society. I've talked quite a bit here today about the prescription drugs and the medication, how that's the quick fix, but 3 of 5 Americans take a prescription drug. And the stat I found of all these things as I was researching this, but 8 of the 10 most common drugs to treat hypertension, diabetes, high cholesterol, and heart failure are taken by Americans. Now, all of those are lifestyle preventable diseases. Again, is there an anomaly out there? Some situations? Yes, there is. But in general, I'm talking about just moving more. And that number goes down considerably. And you can think about the compounding effects that has on many different areas, healthcare, family members, future generations, and again, just a more productive, healthy community. Some special populations, and again, this is not an exhaustive list. I know there's many different populations. I kind of took some out of the, some of the work we've been doing with the Brain Center, with the Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, the neurological disorders. Again, I mentioned neuroplasticity earlier. Exercise, and again, because of the traction this is gaining, more and more, I guess you could call them science-based studies are being done to prove that increased exercise and even more intense exercise can actually prolong getting a disease like Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, or flattening the curve, so to speak, and slowing its progression. And in some cases, even, I won't say reverse it, because then you're going to think we have a cure here for Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, but you are seeing that there's remarkable results when that exercise is consistent at the right intensity and done every single day. and even done in conjunction with other people, because it's that cognitive, that social piece that has such a powerful impact. And you couple that with the movement, and you're seeing it in kind of the extreme end, these diseases that everyone kind of says, oh, that's it, that's it's over. It's not. They're learning tremendous amounts of it, and some of this is even trickling down to just your young healthy people. And hey, this is important. This is how important this is for the mind and the body. We talk about a great paradigm here between type 1 and type 2 diabetes. You have your type 1 diabetic who they don't have control over that. They have, we'll say they're born with it when they get it, or how they get it, but they have no control over it. So they have taken on, the approach that, hey, I can control my blood sugars by how I eat and how I exercise, and can have blood sugars lower than someone who says, I don't care what I'm doing. In the case of like a type 2 diabetes, who's like, oh, I can take insulin and that'll cure it and I don't have to worry about it. But they also have the option to make that preventable and potentially have that go away. So you start to look at how people can control their blood sugars, or what they can do if they have a different mindset. And I think that mindset is what we need to focus on, not the behaviors, because those mindsets are what are going to give those type 2 diabetics, hey, I can do this, I can get rid of this, and I don't have to take that, and I'll feel better. And the mindset of the type 1 is, hey, I still have control over this, and I'm going to take care of my body because I know what happens if I don't, and they don't have control over it. So they are coming at it from a different angle. But if we could get that mindset a little different, you'd see a big approach there. We talked earlier about cancer. Many cancers are finding out that, the toxins in foods and what we eat, but really important on how you're exercising and how your circulation, your blood flow, your body's ability to protect itself is enhanced by exercising and fighting off cancer, and honestly recovering from cancer. When, we have a lot of remarkable studies and a lot of great research out there that we're able to, cure and get rid of cancer. And then that exercise can help fight that off, so that does not come back. Aging, again, some cool numbers here. Exercise slows brain aging by 10 years. So just being sharp, being mindful, doing all of the things you're supposed to. And I'll go back to it. It's a 30-minute walk a day. It's about moving. Sitting too much ages the brain by 8 years. So now you're seeing that contradiction that we're experiencing in our culture now, where we exercise less and we sit more. And that's a big difference. And then, of course, protection and defense. The physical exercise, muscle strength, joint health, posture, and then you have your mental health. When you're releasing those endorphins, you're mentally sharp, you're in the now, you're thinking about how you can be healthier. And then when you are in that right state, you want to affect people around you. So then as you engage and as you socialize, these people will want to be around you. They'll want to be like that. It'll grow faster, and that exponential compounding effect of exercise and eating and physical health are all coming together. And then you'll have, the post-surgical, the chronic pain, the dysfunction, that particular population, that's a short-term barrier. But exercise now, they're finding, you're even seeing physical therapy and rehab isn't taking 12 weeks, 16 weeks. They know how the body moves. They've studied it intently, and they're getting people up and back moving quicker. In fact, they're trying to get people moving the same day, because they do realize that the body is meant to move. And all of that movement is going to help you psychologically recover from a lot of injuries and a lot of different pains. Now, this is a little extreme, but I always think of when I think of someone in a surgical situation, and they get them up moving right away the same afternoon of surgery. But it's no different than, think about sometimes in the morning when you wake up and you're kind of achy and you're just not. By the time you walk into the kitchen, you're like, hey, kind of went away, because the body wants to move. It wants to get the joints need to get the fluid in it. The muscles need to get back to the right length. The movement helps, and that's immediate. That could be within 30 seconds, maybe 15 steps. You're like, oh, okay, the aches and pains go away and the body just moves. And, then you go sit at work for a day, and then you get up at the end of the day, like, oh, it's kind of achy. But then by the time you get out to your car, kind of went away. It just reinforces the movement piece of it. Again, one more brain body break, and we're going to do that same thing here. We're going to bring up those arms like this, but this time, after we hug ourselves, give yourself that big hug. We talked about this before. We'll stretch that out. But now what I want you to do is, when you come out of here, I want you to reach up over the side and back up over the side here. Again, a little low back twist in there, a little side stretch. loosen up some muscles in the side that are getting tight because we're starting to sink into our chairs a little bit. And again, I know this is a lot of talking, and that's next year. I think these will be in person, which will be tremendous and a little more engaging, as we just talked about earlier. So let's talk a little bit about some exercise recommendations for these different populations and how we can, impact our body both physically and mentally. And again, we'll try to combine some of the things we've talked about today. But first, let's go on that same level here. We'll talk about the youth exercise recommendations. Now, I'm kind of on the fence with what's recommended. All of these recommended are definitely based on studies, but in the youth category, I think, kids need to be outside and moving all the time. I think that the social part of it, the making friends part of it, getting out and doing things in addition to the physical part. We're starting to treat kids like adults, where we only have an hour in our day because we work and we have other things that we have to fit it in. So here we are now, here, get your 60 minutes. Well, kids should be moving and playing all day. They have less tolerance for sitting. Their minds work better. Again, we talked about neuroplasticity earlier. Younger people, their brain changes a little bit quicker than as we age, but that also means they need to keep moving. They need to be doing a lot of stuff throughout the day. So, well, yes, 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise a day. Kids should just be moving as much as possible and sitting as little as possible. And I know technology is going to be a barrier that's not going away, but figuring out a way to do that. And I think that comes down to doing things with your family, getting out and doing things and kind of putting that down. Then you have that connected with your family or friends or something along those natures. So I talk in here about getting involved with sports and clubs, but really number two, do it with your family. I think healthy families, they do a lot together. They go on walks, they go on hikes, they hang out together. And then as these kids get older, those are options for them. They look forward to that, of getting out and doing things. Get outside, play. And then I just threw in some different things. Like, people tend to think, oh, if my kid's going to exercise, I'm going to take them to the YMCA with me and run them on the treadmill. Well, the last thing a 9-year-old wants to do is go run on the treadmill for 30 minutes. But maybe if you take them to play ultimate frisbee, that's kind of fun, and it's not easy. Most of the courses around here are rather hilly, and you're just walking around, and now it's a game. You're engaging and you're doing something together. And then maybe as those kids get older, they'll have that skill now where they're like, hey, let's go play some frisbee golf, or let's go, mountain biking versus riding on the road, just some different things. Another thing that is really near and dear to my heart, and I really love it, is all of the different groups of running, triathlon, skiing, the different things in our community. Because what I really like about it is it's activity and it's exercise and it's socialization. But what's happening is now you're bringing kids together from all over the community together. It's not just the same kids they see in school every single day. And these kids come from different areas, different schools, different talents. And I think you can see how these kids thrive on meeting different people from around the area than just the same, 10 to 15 people they see every day that they really hang out with. So these clubs have been just really, really important. And I know the Green Bay community, and I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen these kids develop, and I've seen these kids become friends and know each other for a long time. But that cross training in the physical world, but also that cross training in the mental field of meeting different people with no expectations of who you are or where you came from. And I think that's really important. And it's one of the things I really love about those clubs. And that's just another option out there for other kids. And maybe there's parents on here or grandparents, and maybe they can pass that on to somebody. Adult exercise recommendations. Again, these get a little bit more realistic because as an adult, a lot of times, your day is a little more structured, but same thing, 60 minutes a day, they're telling you they want you to exercise a little more vigorously. As we age, lots of things decline. Our muscle mass declines, our joint health declines, but we also tend to do less playing, which, again, to not get too technical, but playing is not as multi-directional. So we're not used to moving in different planes. We kind of walk forward. So trying to incorporate new skills and activities are really, really important, because while you're not thinking about it now, think about as you age. And you might, you get into that range where now fall prevention is something that's on your mind. Well, the more agile you are, balance comes from experiencing many different things, not the same thing all the time. So taking up dancing, taking up some sort of, low impact sport. And even, to be honest, taking the piano. Now you start to cross different things. You're thinking with your mind. You're helping the mind, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, but something that challenges you. Again, some general examples here, but I'll focus a little bit more on the ones that aren't, what you always talk about. Everyone always tell you, go for a run, join a gym, that kind of stuff. But take a friend. If you take someone with you or meet someone, you're going to be over 50% more likely to keep doing that long term. That long term is what's going to give you the health, not the from January 1st to January 18th, and then you burn out because that was your New Year's resolution. Find someone to do it with. And then what happens is now you'll start looking to seeing your friend or your friends. You look forward to doing that stuff, and you start planning stuff around it. And you don't think about what you're going to do. You're there for the social part, and you know it's great for you, and you love the way you feel when you're done. And then you're going to keep doing that. So again, I think that's very important. Clubs for adults, the running clubs, the biking clubs. It's great to socialize. People that work out, we talked about before, have a different clarity, a different focus, a different mindset. It's really invigorating and energizing to hang out with those people. They're positive. They're always thinking of the good. They have great stories. And typically all of the stuff we've talked about today, they do some of that. So when you start to cross over and do things, you're going to be forced, or at least an opportunity to try new things, which I think is really important. And again, as an adult too, playing, we talked about, incorporating skills. Don't forget about basketball, swimming, golf. Very important. I think taking up dancing lessons, we forget about yard work. Again, another example that goes in my head is I think of when I was a kid, everyone was always outside on the weekends working. You were talking to your neighbors, everyone was in the yard. You come home now after work, and there's probably 12 or 15 different landscaping businesses in your neighborhood. They do everything. You don't have to do anything. You might mow the lawn. But I think all of that activity, the standing up, the sitting down, the weeding the beds, edging, mowing, cleaning up, doing the garage, all that stuff, that is exercise. That's movement. That accounts for that 60 minutes a day. It doesn't have to be so purposeful. But don't forget about those. And I think the swimming one is real important too. We talked about some of the special populations earlier with the post-surgical or the pain. Water can be your friend. There's resistance in water. It can help you heal faster. It can help you get back up to doing more of, I'll call it on land type activities, but the water is a great thing. Swimming's a great thing. And even you can even get into some warm water therapy and things. So as you're starting to come out of different situations and dysfunctions, that can help you get on your feet faster. So you're back to doing your normal activities. Or you may just say, hey, I really love the water. This is something new that I found, that I'm going to continue doing this too. So I think that's important. The special populations we talked on, and again, there'll be a little bit of overlap here, but I think the seeking guidance and experts from the medical professions, but maybe even more of an exercise expert. Sometimes it's best if your exercise person, consults with your physician, just because like I mentioned earlier, maybe they don't have the same knowledge of exercise, but when you put the two heads together, they might know you better. A lot of times your personal trainer or your workout buddy knows you a lot better than, your physician. So they might be able to recommend something else, but if they consult with them and you kind of know, your barriers or your limits, I think that can be a nice combination. But I think as we get older, we still need to make it fun, and we don't have to make it a chore like it's something we have to do. It's something we get to do. If you challenge yourself by learning something new, it's going to affect you physically and mentally. So it boosts that brain. It gives you that energy. It releases all those great chemicals that help you feel better about yourself and combat depression, anxiety, and stress. Nobody wants to get cancer. Nobody wants to be overweight. Nobody wants to have diabetes. And we have control over that. Yes, there's the small population that doesn't, and we can't control that, but it's over half of the population can cure a lot of these things or remedy them just by exercising, which I think is a great thing. It's right there at our fingertips. We just have to go do it. And I do get that it's hard to do it, but if we do it together, then it becomes fun and it becomes a social activity. And we're going to do that for the rest of our lives. It's going to be who we are and what we do. We talked about, the slowing of the aging, the mental decline, all of that stuff gets slowed by this. And we all want to stay sharp. We all want to be on top of our game for as long as we can. I'm sure there's some of us that as we age, maybe we can't get down on the floor and kind of play around with our grandkids, and we'd like to do that. I think those are important things. So we should think about that. And it's never too late to start. We talked before, the body's amazing. You can get strong, you can combat disease, you can even to a point slow neurological disorders with the brain. It is never too late to start, but You got to start somewhere. So reaching out and seeking out a friend or a family member or someone who you want to do that with is really important to get you on that journey to better health, I'll call it. And water is your friend. Like I said, a lot of times, when we talk about special populations, it's the injuries that delay you. And the longer you delay, the harder it's getting the water. The water is tremendous. It reduces a lot of pain, and it can get you back up into your normal capacity. And a lot of people find that they like the therapy of the water anyways. And then again, I like to point out that consistency, something every day versus going as hard as you can for 3 weeks and burning out or getting hurt every single day. And then you build on that. That intensity can change as you want to challenge yourself, or maybe it starts out walking and then, hey, I want to ride my bike, or hey, I really did realize I like running, or something like that. You can escalate it that way, but try to do something every single day. In my conclusion, I guess I didn't put down points here, but I want to let you know it is the little things. It's very important that you don't have to take on a big task or train for a marathon. You have to start doing it every day. Make it social, friends, family. Do it with somebody. Trust me, I live that world. I do that all the time. And there was a time where it was really hard to get up and go for a run, and all of a sudden you start hanging around with people. And it's a true testimonial. It's infectious. You look forward to it. It's part of what you are, who you are. And the end result is you're healthier. Your mind is more clear. And honestly, you just feel better. It's a general blanket statement, but you just feel better. And if you're feeling better, a lot of the other stuff goes by the wayside. You're not going to worry about the little things. You're gonna brush those off, and you're gonna take those with ease, and you're gonna be ready for the bigger challenges in life. And thirdly, it is not too late to start. I say that whether you're 25 and you just got, you're 3 years out of college and you haven't done anything since you played a college sport, or you're 65 and you haven't done anything for 25 years. It is not too late. And guaranteed, someone out there, a good friend or a family member is just like you, grab them and say, hey, let's do this. Let's start doing something new and just get moving. And I think at the end of the day, when we talk about exercise and fitness, it's not running a marathon. It's not doing a boot camp. It's not, climbing the biggest hill in Brown County. It's about moving every day. So I think if you have that approach and not worry about that, you'll escalate into whatever your avenue is. But the main thing is you're starting to do something every day, and it's immediate. It happens that day, the feeling, and then the next day you feel better. 3 days, 3 months, 3 years, and you look back like, wow, look at all the different things I'm doing. And it started out with something really little. So I'm going to turn this back over here to Kelsey. And if anybody, I don't know if anyone's sent any questions in or has other questions, they can come in, and I'm ready to field anything. Exercise, prescriptions, anything we talked about, anything.
Right. You can enter your questions either in the chat or the Q&A box on the bottom. I do want to give a little shout out to Dr. Luloff and Dr. Donarski, who are listening on. They are two of our founders. What I might do is I can, if I get this up, I can unmute their microphone and see if they would like to share anything. Dr. Luloff?
Hi. Hey, Eric, that was superb. I loved it.
Thank you.
The couple of things about it. I have found if I want my day to get started, the best thing to do, if I don't feel like I've got the energy and that my brain isn't quite ready, but I know I've got to get things done, I do my early morning exercises that I learned how to do, starting in bed with how I move my legs and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, everything in the day gets easier. We are all different. What we need is different. But we do need to move. And by moving, our minds work better. And then we learn better and what to do, and we learn ourselves. We have to learn ourselves. So this has been excellent. It's so motivating And I can hardly wait to go out for a run, and Dr. Donarski can get out and start walking today.
Thank you.
That I took away from this was that one statement you made: consistency trumps intensity. And I think that's a message that really needs to come about, because so many people start but never really finish it out.
Mhm. That's so true. Do we have any other questions from our other participants? You can put them in the chat, or you can raise your hand. I'll just kind of give you guys a couple of minutes. I thought this was great. A lot of the things about the younger population, it's so true. Instead of just saying the 60 minutes, go run, do something. I at least know with my family, a lot of our youngins are just, they're wild and crazy, and they want to be running and playing all the time, which is great. And grandma and grandpa have a huge backyard for it. So when we're all together, that's what we do.
Eric, this is Chris, and just what I wanted to say is that you've given us a lot to think about. I have a page full of notes, and it's a lot of awesome stuff that you're able to share both scientifically and then through your experiences. But a few things that I really enjoyed you sharing is that compounding effect. I love the way my brain was able to process that, the exercise or lack of exercise, how there is a compounding effect there. We need to change our mindsets. I love how you phrase that. And we have control over this, that it is in our ability to impact and prevent some of those diseases and make ourselves stronger and sharper. There was another one that I really liked. We all want to be on top of our game as long as we can. So isn't that the truth, that we all want to feel the best when we get up, and we want to feel the best as we age and get older. So exercise is a huge part of that. And the statistics about the exercise and the lack of it in the aging of the brain, the 10 years, that's something really that struck me. So I appreciate everyone that was on today live, and we'll have the ability, because this is recorded, to share out and be able to get this in the hands of so many. Those that were participating in person today, please share with someone you know, because really exercise and what we can do to better our brains is across all generations. So we want everyone to know the types of foods, how exercise, how stress management can be done through our lifestyle. So thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Eric. Before we end, I have a couple of poll questions for our attendees today. One is, are you interested in joining our Brain Book Club? And would you like to be added to our e-newsletter? And so if you supply yes, we will get those added and keep you in the loop as we go forward. Leave that up just for a couple more. And Katie wrote to us, thank you, that this was a great presentation, and I completely agree. This was a great presentation, very informative. So, all right. Well, I think that wraps up our presentation today. If we don't have any other questions from our attendees, if not, our next presentation is on July 27th, and that's with Sherry Mealy from the Aging and Disability Resource Center. So visit our website for more information or to sign up. And we look forward to seeing you all then. And please, as Chris said, share out with a friend. The more that can get this too would be fantastic. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.